football game. Take me out to the ground.
Good morning. As we are doing this just a little bit different today. It's a long story, and it's a great one. We're going to tell it today. We are coming to you live. Sean is going to join me here in a second. I did not have time to do my normal stuff as far as the production. We had a very late flight that came in, and I am on very little sleep over the last 5 or 6 days, but I have had a great time, and we are going to talk about Nashville. We are going to talk about a lot of things, but let's go ahead and get into what's going on in the world of sports. And when Sean pops in, we'll start swapping stories, et cetera, et cetera. So essentially what we got going on right now, as the college football poll came out, I did want to jump on this first while we have a few minutes. You got Alabama is now number one in the country, but they only had 59 first place votes. Georgia is now number 2 in the country at 1,507 behind. So what are they? 64 points behind Alabama. Now we'll get into that in a second. But essentially what we have going on here is Ohio State's 3, Oklahoma's 4, and Texas A&M 5. So that's your top 5. Did you notice Clemson only fell to 6th? 6th. And Georgia jumped to 2. And everyone that I talked to over the weekend was asking me what they thought the poll would do. I was like, well, essentially it means nothing until November. But if you're going to take this serious and you're going to put a poll out, Georgia going to number 1, Georgia going to number 2, in my opinion, is a joke, is an absolute joke. That's the number 2 team in the country that we saw on Saturday night. Georgia. A team that didn't score an offensive point. That's your go-to. That's your, well, come on. That's my number 2 team in the country. I'm not even saying that they are even going to be that bad in a few weeks or by the end of the year. And I get it that they beat a highly ranked opponent, but Clemson looked like crap too. The two of them have very good defenses or very good offenses that were shut down by very good defenses, or so-so defenses that were shutting down terrible offenses. We don't know yet. But I do know this. You can't put them above Oklahoma. Oklahoma did not struggle at all against Tulane. And I get it, Tulane's much easier opponents, but they did not struggle at all. And then Sean is joining us here. So we're going to touch this back up here in 1 second. Give me 1 second. We're going to do our normal intro and then we'll get to rolling here. Here we go. And just so we don't break our tradition, here we go.
Good morning. It's time to wake up, y'all. You're listening to the Armchair Quarterback Show. We're here weekdays on CBS Radio, YouTube Live, the Armchair Quarterback Show, your first choice for Southern sports talk. Good morning, Mr. Sean O'Toole.
Good morning, Mac McGee. I don't know much, but I know one thing is I sent you in a text message. Hey, ESPN, if you want me to watch a Michigan game with the sound on, don't put Dan Orlovsky on the call. Because let me tell you, that's as close as I've ever come to drinking Clorox. Get him off my television. Stop it. Nobody wants this.
Hi, I'm Mac McGee, and I don't know much, but I know one thing. I left my money. I left my inhibitions, and I'm pretty sure I left my voice all in Nashville, Tennessee over the last few days. You're listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks.
Broken pretzels in the rug. The beer cans could be worse. She'll clean it up tomorrow and dread September 1st when once again, ho-ho!
of the morning to you. Welcome to the Armchair Quarterback Radio Show. I'm Mac McGee sitting alongside Sean O'Toole. And essentially all I had a chance to get into, Sean, was the AP polls come out, and I think it is an absolute joke. Georgia is number 2. They didn't score an offensive touchdown. They didn't score. We didn't see an offensive touchdown in that entire game. So you might be able to convince yourselves that these are the 2 best defenses known to man over the last 100 years, or maybe these are 2 really crappy offenses at this point in the season. What say you?
Yeah, I wasn't impressed with what I saw from JT Daniels at all. The only thing less impressive at quarterback than JT Daniels in that game was DJ Uiagalelei. So, who just made a really bad throw.
His center, I hope he's not on scholarship, because he spent the entire time scooping that ball off the ground. I must have seen it at least 5 times.
So the cracks in the foundation of their offensive line specifically kind of showed up against Ohio State last year in the playoff, when Ohio State was really getting into the backfield with 4 down linemen, honestly, with ease. And I don't know if that's a place that Dabo has previously struggled. I mean, they've been so good with Lawrence. It begs the question, how much, of the deficiencies in the offensive line were covered up by ATN and Lawrence before now, and maybe we just didn't notice, because Lawrence was so good under pressure and so good at scrambling with his legs and making quick decisions with the ball. That game says a lot more to me about Clemson than it says about Georgia. It tells me that Clemson's, a lot more beatable with the players that they've lost. Georgia, we'll see. I'm glad for Kirby, and I'm glad for UGA fans that they got a big win in a signature game, because they've shown up really small in those moments. And that's kind of been the knock on Kirby, is that in these big marquee games, they either haven't shown up or they've come up really short, or they've struggled against teams they had no business struggling against. I mean, they had some trouble, for about 2.5 quarters with Tennessee last year, which, was just way below their skill level. So, yeah, I get people who are upset that Georgia's number 2. I'm with Danny Cannell, which isn't a phrase I say a whole lot, that, the people who do the polling are just slaves to these preseason polls, because he's
I also think they're extremely lazy.
Yeah, exactly.
Just mentally lazy, because if you look at it, it's a joke. Georgia did not look like the second best team in the country. Georgia, on some drives, looked like the second best team in the state of Georgia. I mean, let's be honest. Ohio State struggled, but they did put Minnesota away, and they had an offense. But Oklahoma, their offense looked great. Yeah, they gave us some points to Tulane, but I think that was just losing interest towards the end. You got Cincinnati below them. Notre Dame won a pretty big emotional game on the road.
Yep.
Against a Florida State team that, oh, by the way, newsflash, that program is not dead. Milton
not at all
had looked to me. So I'm assuming that you watched that game. And of course I was
every bit of it.
Of course I was pounding the table the entire time. You know that from some of the texts we had, that there was no reason on earth why, even if you started Travis, that he should have been in behind center after like 2 or 3 possessions. There's no, you cannot convince me. And some people tried to convince you, oh, well, the word won't get hurt, blah, 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 and da, 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 da. And then I heard that you heard all that fake nonsense with some of the fans that were just, slurping the whole, well, he may not be ready yet. That's not true, because he been practicing the entire time. They already said several times that he was okay to go. This was a coaching decision to not put him out there. If Florida State puts him out there, not only do they win, they beat Notre Dame by probably a couple of scores if he starts the game, because they got put behind the 8 ball because we could not move the ball, and we're constantly punting the ball to Notre Dame, who's got a good offense, but a much improved Florida State defense, much improved. And so, honestly, the only thing that kept us in the game to where when Travis finally got to stumbling around, I was like, and I've never said this about a Florida State player in my life. You got hurt. I jumped up and down. I was like, let's go. Don't even, I kept yelling at, what's his name? Milton on the TV. I was like, don't even think about going to a huddle. Don't even let them think about pulling you out. Let's go. First couple plays, you're like, this guy does not play the same sport that Jordan Travis plays.
Right.
I'm not saying he's a Heisman winner. I'm not getting all wrapped up with that. But it was the first time since the days of DeAndre Francois that we've had a guy behind the center that looked like he knew what the hell he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exciting when it's been 4 years. I mean, it's sad, but it's true.
So a couple of things I want to speak to about what you just said. First of all, the thing that I came away most impressed with from that game is Notre Dame's offensive line is maybe, depending on who you believe, the fourth or fifth best offensive line in the entire country. And they were in the backfield all night. Now, Jack Cohn, I watched Jack Cohn at Wisconsin. He's a statue. He's not going to, make big plays with his legs. So you're going to be able to get to him a little bit easier than you will against, say, Uagalele or De'Aaron King, or some of the other quarterbacks in the ACC. The guy's name in Boston College is escaping me right now, but he might actually be the best quarterback, in the ACC this season. I
think he probably is, to be honest with you.
I think he absolutely is, but that's going to be later. We're on the Boston College bandwagon. It was a great night for, I wish it had had a better ending. I can't believe Norvell iced his own kicker. This is just like and
I heard a couple people say that. I'm gonna put an end to that right now. Norvell did not ice his kicker.
I know
Norvell made the right choice. They overturned it, and a kicker's got to be expected to make that damn kick.
Oh, sure.
Now I will say this: Norvell iced his team by leaving Jordan Travis in until well into the third quarter.
That's true.
That's what he did, but I'm not going to kill him for that because I'm sorry. If you're a major college football kicker, you can't hit a 37-yard field goal.
What are you doing? Yeah,
you are a putz. I'm sorry, but you are. So I can't kill him for that. And look, kids make mistakes. I'm not even going to roast the kid, but come on. At that point, dude, I'm sitting there chanting, "Ruski, Ruski, Ruski for Bobby, Ruski, Ruski, Ruski for Bobby." Because what if they pull a fake field goal at that point, as opposed to kicking it?
That would have been interesting.
I think it would have been great. Even if we don't get it, everyone would have remembered it.
I agree. And hey, look, it was a good win for Notre Dame. It's a big moment for Florida State and a big moment for the program that, I think they need to have kind of a statement year, even if it's a 7-win season. I think they need a big win at home. I think they need to play in a good bowl game. I think Norvell needs some positive momentum.
Baby, this team's winning 8 or 9. This team is winning 8 or 9. I'm telling you right now. I looked at
I believe you.
The next day.
I believe you.
And I was like, there's 4 losses possibly on their schedule, but they're going to beat one of them because they're going to play Clemson. They're going to play Florida. They're going to play Miami, and they're going to play North Carolina. I hate to break it to y'all. Of all the fan base,
they can win 3 of those.
I hate to break it to y'all for all you fan base out there. One of those bad boys are going down at least. So look now, maybe they'll drop a game they shouldn't drop. So maybe it does end up being 7, but maybe they get 2 of those because North Carolina did not impress. Miami did not impress anybody. Miami does not belong in the top 25. What the hell are they still hanging around? That Miami team is ranked over Florida State after week 1, and that's why I say that the pollsters are extremely lazy. Because I don't care where they started. Miami looked like a high school football team getting mowed by Alabama. Florida State looked like a college football team that belonged on that field with the number 9 team in the country. So that's a joke. I'm not saying that Miami can't turn that around because absolutely can. But that is a joke that Miami didn't fall out of the top 25. That game wasn't even interesting. Like, what would you say, 22 minutes into the game?
It wasn't interesting 8 minutes into the game.
I
turned it on.
It wasn't.
I turned it on with 7 minutes to go in the first quarter. It was 17-0. I was like, this is over.
Let's be honest. It hasn't been interesting all summer long, or we would have talked about it. Anytime we brought it up, it was more like, can they cover the 20-point spread, 19-point spread? I'm like, pretty sure they can. And of course they did. And they could have named their score.
The most interesting game of the weekend, the one that I was paying the most attention to, was the one in Los Angeles Saturday night, and that one actually ended up, hey, I was on the UCLA bandwagon the whole preseason. I don't know that I believe in Chip as much as I believe in a team that's returning like 22 starters from last year's team. It just, players who played on last year's team, has super seniors, had transfers from other programs whose names I know, particularly Zach Charbonnet from Michigan, who looks great. And, Coach O's one more 6-6 season away from getting Chizik. He's going to get Chizik down in Baton Rouge if he goes 6-6. He's going to be 2 years removed from national title. You don't think so?
First of all, LSU is going to be pretty good.
I think they're going to be pretty good, but are they?
Man, LSU, that fan base will give him at least 3-4 years before they just, unless he goes like 2-10. Okay, then it's like what?
Well, yeah, that would be something different. I think that game says more about UCLA than it says about UCLA. I think UCLA is really good. I actually think they can win the Pac-12.
Wait, what? I'm assuming you misspoke. You said, I think that game says more about UCLA than it does UCLA.
Oh, I'm sorry. Than it does LSU. Sorry.
Like, dude,
I think
I'm going on
is better.
I have like no sleep over the last 6 days. Don't be playing mind games with me.
Not playing mind games with you. So UCLA is a big winner for me from the weekend. And you were saying the thing about the pollsters, Cannell went in on them in the last day or so. And good for him saying, hey, you're lazy. Why does it matter that you didn't have UCLA ranked high, or why you didn't have Iowa high? He has UCLA and Iowa in his top 10. He's like, those are 2 of the 10 best teams I've seen so far, period.
And we will start doing our top 10s next week. I'm going to be completely honest with y'all. I got in for my flight extremely late last night, and I had no time to prep. So the only prep that we did was what I talked to Sean about well before the show, because I could work on it, but I had no time to prep. I mean, we've been in airports and all that kind of junk for the last several hours. So speaking of that, let's go ahead and get into your college predictions, because I feel like we're going to, because we can always circle back to all this, because there's so much to unpack with that top 25. It is just absurd and asinine at this point. Because look, let's be honest, Iowa looked like one of the best teams in the country.
Sure did.
They jumped to number 10. Is that high enough? I don't think so. I think they should be ranked in front of Clemson. And to be honest with you, they were more impressive than Georgia was. Georgia should have been the first team ever to beat a top 5 team and fall and just free fall out of the top 10. It was
top 5. My top 5, just really quick, is in this order: Bama, Ohio State, Oklahoma, Georgia, Iowa. I got Georgia at 4. I mean, again, they started at 5. They beat number 3.
All right, if we're gonna do that, my top 5 after that week is going to be, I'll go ahead and put Notre Dame at number 5, because they did win on the road. They looked suspect at certain things, but they did win a big game on the road. I'm only going to speak to the games I actually got a chance to watch, because we were in Nashville all weekend, and I could only like absorb so much. But Notre Dame would be number 5 for me. Oklahoma definitely number 4. I mean, honestly, from what I've seen and what was actually played, let's go ahead and put Iowa at number 3. Now, that won't last long, but from what I saw, and then my number 2 team in the country, I want to put A&M in there. Problem is, I didn't see a lick of A&M football. So,
you didn't miss anything.
So I'll go with Ohio State just as a nod, and then of course Alabama will look like Alabama. But those be much more organized going forward. So let's go ahead and get into your college football predictions.
Okay, I'm going to start with I'll do the playoff at the end and who I think will be the champions.
So let's do this like fairly, compactly. Who's going to be in the ACC championship game and who wins it?
Okay, I've got Clemson versus Virginia Tech, and my winner is Clemson. I really wanted to swerve and take Boston College because I really like Boston College, but I can't do it. I put money on it, but
still doubling down and say that North Carolina wins that conference.
Really? Okay.
They played a tough game on the road, something they stupid from a scheduling point because it's a conference game. What the hell? It's a division game. It's
not just a division game. You got it.
It was really dumb by the North Carolina athletic director to agree to that, but I think they've got the talent to overcome it. I think Virginia Tech will do hokey type things, and they'll lose to like an Old Dominion or whatever, and you'll be like,
"Hey, they've got MTSU this week, baby." My son's foaming at the mouth.
There you go, Blue Raiders by 16. Are they still called the Blue Raiders, by the way?
They are still the Blue Raiders.
Wasn't sure if that got cancel culture. I know their mascot did. Oof. That is not a good match. Do they still have the Pegasus with the lightning coming out of its butt?
Yes.
That is so weird.
Super.
Super. It's super. Yeah, I believe that North Carolina it'll most likely be Clemson. Unless Ugalele just cannot get it figured out, then we'll watch out Boston College.
I think Virginia Tech's defense is very good, so it's hard to read too much into this in game one. But the loss of De'Ami Brown, Michael Carter, and Javonte Williams looked really stark in that game. I mean, none of their receivers could get separation. I mean, they weren't more than 3 inches away from the cornerbacks. That's concerning. That's very concerning.
And Honest Engine didn't watch the game because that was Friday night, and we went to the Grand Ole Opry. And by the way, that was phenomenal, y'all. I'll talk more about this as the week goes on. I was impressed, and there wasn't even a big name headliner. That's how good it was. The coolest thing is, if everyone wants any retro thing going on there, the coolest thing about the Opryland is that. Oh, by the way, Brian Cook's chime in and saying, "Spare me." Sorry, Brian. Miami sucks, dude. I hate to tell you, dude.
Miami's bad.
They don't just kind of suck. They're well overrated. FSU's not gonna. He said FSU still needs an offensive line. Not against Miami, they won't. I guarantee you. They're just getting trucked. But the Grand Ole Opry, the coolest thing about that was Bo Duke, John Schneider sang, which was cool. And he came out and started with the Waylon Jennings song. He killed it. And he should have dropped the mic and walked off the stage. Because in the next two songs he played was ones he written. He's a lot of things, but he's not a songwriter. Has a decent voice, has a good stage presence. I enjoyed it. But it's a really corny song that he led. Now, I'll tell you what the coolest thing about that, y'all, if y'all never been to the Opry, they still do it old school because they're broadcasting it on the radio. So there's no long intermission except for one that they do in the middle of the entire show. But in other words, there's not 5 to 10 minute setups in between bands like there normally is. They go out there and they sing their 3 songs. They get off the stage. The next band comes on the stage. In the middle of that, there's an MC who's trying to sell you like Dollar General or something and cutting jokes. And I mean, it was phenomenal. I was impressed. There was a band there that at the end of the show, they were the final ones. And I want to say they're called Riders in the Sky. And I hate that I'm getting that wrong, but I think that's what they were. They were evidently are legendary singers. Now, we don't all know them because most of the stuff that they did to get famous for were for movies. So they sang a lot of songs on movies that won Grammys. And they sang a couple of songs. Now, I'm not a Toy Story fan because I was a little too old when that song came out. That movie came out for me to be into it. And I do know I need to go back and watch them because I do know that they're funny because I'll see clips. I go, that's funny. But I was just at that age where I'm like, I'm not sitting down watching a cartoon. There's too many chicks at the bar, you know? So I'll have plenty of time to watch that when I'm 50. And damn it, if I'm not close to that right now. A lot of people lost a lot of bets, by the way. I should make it to 48 tomorrow. Well, it's a lot of bets. So, anyways, but evidently they won Grammys for songs in Toy Story, and even the couple one, and they just played like a couple of snippets of it. I was like, it kind of sounds familiar, but if you're a Toy Story fan, you would have known the songs because people were clapping along. But the funniest thing was the guy tells the story so it's 4 of them on stage, and they're dressed to the nines in those classic old cowboy gear with the the flashy flowers and stuff. And they're sitting around telling the story of when they went to the Grammys and won the Grammys for the song years and years ago. And they said, man, there was like 250 stars back there. I mean, there were stars. And they started going, there was like Beyonce back there, and just started naming off all these big names singers. And the guy on the far end, he goes, we were the only people in that room that I'd never heard of. Classic line. But anyways, go ahead. I just wanted to share that Grand Ole Opry experience. It was really cool.
Yeah, the Opry is a one-of-a-kind thing for anybody who watches or listens. If you've never been to Nashville, there's a lot of things you can do in Nashville, and you can't see everything in 4 days. I think McGee tried, but
came close.
He came close, but the Opry is one of the things you absolutely have to get to. So for the ACC, I got Clemson versus Virginia Tech. You want me to go Big 12, Pac-12? Where do you want me to go next?
Let's hit the SEC.
SEC. Okay. This is a bit of a swerve, but for my SEC pick, I've got Georgia coming out of the East, and I've got Texas A&M coming out to West, and I've got Georgia winning the Southeastern Conference. I think one of these two teams will be.
I would have halfway believed you if I hadn't just seen Miami get mauled by Alabama. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, with Miami, they've got good athletes, so it's not like they're chopped liver. Alabama looked like that they played a different sport than what Miami played.
True.
It looked like that they sent a cricket team out there to play a National Football League team, and that's not the case. Miami's not going to be like getting mauled by everybody. That's just how good Alabama is. I can only imagine what Alabama would do to Florida State. So
Alabama, the thing that's driving this for me is that Alabama has not played very well at College Station, and that is where they play this year. And Jumbo, there's a Freudian slip for you. Jimbo has coached better against Alabama than most of his counterparts in the Southeastern Conference. I actually think that'll be Alabama's one loss this year, because I'm going to bring them up again later. Fast forward, I think they'll still be in the playoff, but I don't think they're going to be in the SEC title game, because Texas A&M has such a cake schedule this year. I mean, things break so well for them that if they can replace the production that they're losing at quarterback from Kellen Mond, and I'm not reading anything into a game against Kent State, but he looked great on Saturday. We'll see how he looks this coming Saturday once they play a real team. I think Texas A&M is very, very dangerous. And I think they're being very overlooked.
Well, their defense is elite. It's just what is a quarterback.
Their defense is.
I'm gonna tell you right now, one of the most things. As much as I look forward to the Nashville trip, and I enjoyed it, I can't tell you how much I appreciate all of y'all coming out, including you, Sean. That seen y'all in a while, and I know it's not easy, with your schedules to be able to come out. But I loved every damn minute of it. Love all you guys. But I can't wait to sit down this weekend and watch college football. And I mean, talking about phone off. I got to work because I do that thing for the national radio every Saturday during the fall. But phone off and just be able to engulf myself into college football. For people who don't know what I'm talking about, on Saturdays, I do these sports flashes for them, and it's not me on air or anything like that. I have to put stuff together. But anyways, but the good news is they'll assign me like 3 games, and I got to be locked into those games. And so I'm looking forward to that, because I only got to truly watch about 2 or 3 games total of all. I watched no baseball, and that's not like me. I was checking the hell out of my phone and cussing my fantasy team. I mean, I'm like, what in the living hell? Sorry, stupid thing on my computer popped up. So I apologize for that whatever the hell that is. But baseball, dude, I had 11 or 12 starts Friday and Saturday and Sunday. Give me points my pitcher scored between 11 and 12 starts.
It couldn't have been a lot.
Around 30. Think about
Yikes.
that. Think about that. So many negatives. And these are guys who've done well all year long. If they weren't, then I wouldn't have been the number one seed.
Right.
And even though I think that was my worst team, I was like, this is ridiculous. I'm getting hit by it again. I was like, what is the answer? Start having the playoffs in July? That happens to my team every year. It's like I get the old man team or something. Like all of a sudden out of nowhere, like the 26-year-old guy's got dead arm. Well, could he have figured that out 2 weeks ago so I could have made some pickups? Anyways, moving on. I picked Georgia over Alabama originally. I don't believe that I made the right choice. I'm going to tell you right that, but I can't back down. I'm hoping Georgia's looking better and Alabama starts looking worse, or like you said, A&M upsets Alabama. I ain't feeling good about it, Sean. I'm not going to lie to you.
Hey, we're going to get to that when we get to the Big Ten, because I did the same thing. I did these. Listen, it's timestamped for September 2nd at 7:50 in the morning. I did them 6 days ago. And believe me, after this weekend, I wanted to change the Big Ten one, but I'm not going to do it. So
yes. Big Ten, I took, by the way, I took Indiana to beat Wisconsin. I don't know if that's very accurate at this point, but anyway, let's go ahead. What you got?
Yeah, I took Ohio State and Wisconsin, with Ohio State being the winner in Indianapolis. And after this weekend, let me tell you, I think it's going to be Ohio State and Iowa. And Iowa might come out of this thing because Ferentz has got studs on defense, not just good players, studs.
Now let me ask you something. I didn't get a chance to watch a lick of that game. That's one of the games where, like, when I put Iowa in my top 5, I don't know. I'm going off the stats that I read.
Right.
But where the hell was the Indiana defense, who returned quite a bit?
They weren't on the field.
Where the hell were they? And that's the issue with Indiana that has been for the last few seasons. They look really good some weekends, and some weekends they're extremely inconsistent. Now, I don't know if you can speak to it. Was it a coaching scheme, or did they look flat because it was an 11 a.m. Central kickoff, or what?
I will say this. They came out and Penix threw a pick six, like 2.5 minutes into the game. And from that moment on, their defense just looked defeated. They were handed short fields on several occasions. I think Penix had a total of 4 turnovers, 2 interceptions. Two were pick sixes. I think 3 picks and 2 were pick sixes, and also a fumble that handed them a short field. So, I mean, they were down 17-6 before they knew, before anybody had gone and gotten a Coke, from the souvenir stands. So I just think they got the wind taken out of them. They got shot. Right. Exactly.
Coca-Cola.
Well, whatever.
In Iowa on Saturdays? I bet you not.
I bet you not. Okay.
I bet you there's some I bet you there's something in their boot that they're pouring into their I just know how that go.
I will say that they were very impressive. And if all they want out of the offense, if all Ferentz wants out of the offense is for Petrus to run play action and hit tight ends, because it's tight end you, and they've got a good one again this year. If that's all he wants Spencer Petrus to do, he can do that. And if the defense continues to play like they did, now they're going to see better quarterbacks than Michael Penix. I like Michael Penix, but if you can keep him in the pocket and force him to throw the ball, it's not really as good as he is when he gets out and on the move. Once he gets out and on the move, he's way more. That's what
I don't understand, and I guess I'll just get a chance to watch him in the next few weeks. But that defense was so damn dominant. I just thought all he had to do was basically score a little. But would they score like 10 or 14, whatever it was? So
yeah. And
once again, Iowa about once every 4 years has a really good team, and I guess maybe this is that year. So all right, we need to speed this up real quick. Pac-12, who you got?
I got Oregon coming out of the north and UCLA coming out of the south, and I've got UCLA winning the Pac-12. And I had that before they beat LSU. I really like Chip. I think he's I think he's a good coach, and I think everybody's given up on him. He's
Very
returning
good.
so many seniors.
Dude,
So many seniors.
Bro, if people don't understand that Chip Kelly's a very good college football coach, they don't understand college football. He was a terrible NFL coach because he tried to do the same schemes, but it's a very good college football coach. I've got Oregon beating Southern Cal because if Southern Cal does not get there with this talent, Clay Hilton, bye-bye. And hell, maybe by the 10th, 12th game of the season, Urban Meyer will fake a heart attack and take the USC job. Big 12.
Big 12, I've got Iowa State and Oklahoma, and I've got Iowa State winning the Big 12. I think it,
And then real quick, top four, what you got? Who wins it all?
Yeah, the four going to the playoff, I've got Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama, and Iowa State, and I've got Bama winning the national title. I just foresee a scenario where Bama doesn't play in the Southeastern Conference title game, but Georgia boat races Texas, and everybody goes, Bama's only loss was to them. Let's throw them in there. I'm kind of being a depressionist with that line of thinking, but I think somebody's going to upset the apple cart this year. I think it's going to be Iowa State.
So I stick by my original pick. I can't lie about it now. I mean, I could if some of y'all didn't watch it. Just raise your hand. But I had Georgia beating Oregon for the national championship because I went off the rails a little bit. I decided I was not going to go chalk anymore. I'm so sick and tired of seeing these teams. So I took North Carolina. I took Indiana. Actually, I had Indiana not making the playoffs. That was the one conference because I thought they would win the Big Ten, but they would have too many losses. So I had Iowa State, North Carolina, Georgia, and Oregon. And the rest is that. Let's take a really quick break, Sean. When we come back, NFL predictions. Oh, yeah. Oh, buddy. Oh, buddy. We'll be back in a flash show on the Armchair Quarterbacks.
Remember, if for any reason you must leave your radio, please have the man at the door stamp your ear so you can listen again later.
Saturday mornings, 8:30 Eastern. Dixie Football Nation is back and better than ever. We've got Tony Agolini, Matt Carr, Tones Areola, Bobby and Angelo, along with Mac McGee this fall. Dixie Football Nation heads to the gridiron, talking ACC, SEC, the Big Ten, and all the big games throughout the college football land. That's Dixie Football Nation, 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central, Saturday mornings on the Armchair Quarterback Show's YouTube channel, going live, or catch the instant replay.
Screen pass to Trayshawn DeAndre on the right side. He dodges Crushman, makes his way to the end zone. Touchdown. Wait a second. I think there's a flag on the play.
All right, you guys got holding on number 97, right?
Yeah, definitely holding. No touchdown.
All right, make the call.
Yeah, I mean, it was holding.
Right, so make the call.
Or, we say the flag was for an excessive celebration so they can keep the touchdown and apply the penalty to the kickoff, huh? What do you say?
What are you talking about? I didn't see excessive celebration.
You sure? Could have sworn I saw a little nay-nay going on.
What's going on with you, man?
All right, look, guys, I got to be real with you. Trayshawn DeAndre just scored that touchdown. Okay, I have him on my fantasy team this week. I need these points.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding you, Bill. I'm playing against my father-in-law this week, and if he doesn't score this touchdown, I lose.
Well, I'm not going to let you make a bad call because you're in some fantasy football league.
Make the call.
Craig, no. If you make one bad call.
This works out perfectly, Bill. I started the quarterback who threw the touchdown pass. We're going to have to ignore the holding call.
I have the kicker, and I was kind of hoping that he wouldn't convert on third down, so he'd have to kick the field goal.
Armchair.
Get your Sunday football morning started off right with the Handicappers on Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube, 10 a.m. Eastern to noon Eastern. Your Sunday morning kickoff show where we tackle your NFL lines out in the desert, a 61.2% win rate over the last 6 years. Against the spread, over, under, money line, you name it. And we dive into the world of fantasy football year-long and your DFS payouts. Your only true Southern football kickoff show that talks the spreads in Vegas, your DFS and fantasy, and your year-long quest to win that fantasy football championship. Only on the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube channel. It's the Handicappers on Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube, 10 a.m. Eastern to noon Eastern. Sundays, all NFL season long.
Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube Live, covering the AFC South and NFC South along with the rest of the NFL. Subscribe and like us today. Your first choice for sports talk live from the First Coast.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Armchair Quarterbacks here on CBS Sports. Great to be back after a week off. I should be rested, but I am tired as hell. I'm not great weekend with a lot of great friends. Sean, I really enjoyed that fantasy football draft that we did, live draft, no computers, other than having a Bobby put it in as we go. But we did it on a board, stickers, old school style, really cool. Did you enjoy it?
I had a great time. It was good to meet some people that, I hadn't met before. I intentionally sat next to Forbes in the event that, he wanted to just take a swing at a Democrat over the weekend while he was in Tennessee. Thankfully he didn't, as you can see, not a mark on my face.
He wanted to take a swing at his team afterwards.
I'll bet. I sent my brother a picture of my team, and he goes, whoo! He goes, went running back early there, did you? I was like, yes, I did. I did go running back early. Found myself in a situation with a lot of very questionable wide receivers in the wide receiver room. So we'll see if that strategy works out.
I haven't even got a chance to really look at my team. I did pull off a pretty sizable trade in the, I think it's the trophy league. I believe it was Will,
the YouTube live one.
And and he was needing a receiver and I was needing a running back. So it is that league. So we talked about for 2 or 3 days going like a mega trade, 6 players, and we finally like, you know what? There's no reason to wreck our teams. I sent him DK Metcalf and he sent me Saquon Barkley. So there's risk on my side. I've got a good upside, but I think he's got a great floor and a great ceiling, so I hated it because I think that's one of the few leagues that I even have DK Metcalf, because I don't think in any of our other leagues and I'm actually a huge fan of his, but I refuse to draft anyone if I think that they've gone too high. He actually slipped in that, and I was like, you know what, I can't complain about getting Saquon Barkley, who's realistically a late first round pick in most leagues, and giving up a guy who's a second round pick in most leagues. So that makes my running back core a lot better, because now I've got Dalvin Cook and Barkley, when before it was is it Miles Sanders? Yeah, Miles Sanders. So now Miles Sanders gives my flex, and I got other options. But
good plug for the first episode of the Handicappers this Sunday. We'll be talking about DFS and players and things like that. I did go through my teams and look, and I own actually a share in every single team that I have so far. I have Antonio Gibson. So if he gets hurt in week 1 and you hear a sound from Murfreesboro, that will be me issuing a guttural scream because my fantasy year is over. So I don't know that I set out to do that. I am very, very high on him this year.
Then maybe don't draft him in tonight's draft. I'm just going to give you some free pro tip, man, because that could wreck your entire season. But by the way, we're doing another draft. So, and this one I'm looking forward to a lot, because it took a lot of finagling to be able to get everyone, because our schedules are just so different. But we're doing one tonight, and I've got 2 drafts going on at the same time because I was worried about everyone else's schedule. I totally forgot about got everyone okay. 8:45 Eastern, we're good to go. I'm sitting there talking. I finally look over at my wife and go, crap. She goes, well, because I average about 4 hours of sleep the entire trip, so my brain is just mush right now. She goes, well, I said, I've got a damn draft at 8:30 at the same time. She goes, well, how long do they take? I was like, not 15 minutes. I can tell you that right now. So I'm going to have 2 monitors going bop, 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 bop. And the one we're doing tonight is a dynasty draft. So if I make major poor decisions, I'll be cussing that for like the next 6 years. why is your team so terrible? Because Nashville happened. But I am looking forward to the draft, and then I'm ready for the season, man. I'm ready for all this to get going.
I will say one last thing about college football. I like Joel Klatt a lot. He may not be everybody's cup of tea. He's definitely one of my favorite college football people, and I really do enjoy him and Gus. That Fox game that they do is usually the game of the week I'm guaranteed to watch the most of. He said something that I thought was very hopeful and very appropriate over the weekend. He said, I loved seeing full stands of college football fans this weekend who were yelling for each other and for their teams instead of what we'd had for the last year and a half. And it was in a tweet, and I'll send it to you if you didn't see it. Instead of yelling at each other about the things going on in the world, he said, we need more of this. It was a great Saturday. Thank you for letting me be a part of it. And I like Joel a lot. So I really enjoyed that.
Speaking of that, the picture here, man.
Oh,
the picture here, this Texas picture, and I meant to bring it up when we first started, but I got kind of sidetracked.
Oh Lord, this thing.
What in the hell are they thinking in the tweets? And I can't even read the tweets online. I mean, over the air, because they're very dirty. You can imagine. But the basic thing that everyone's saying is this Texas. It was a decent idea, but it was just poor execution. So this is supposed to be the Texas Longhorn, and the team runs out of it, and there's some kind of a center over there underneath it. I think it's anyways, the long story short, the players are supposed to run out of the Texas Longhorn and blah, 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 blah. And instead, most of the tweets were referring to the fact that it looks like they're running out of a birth canal. That this was the UT. So it started trending UT with the uterus spelt that way. So the capital UT and then uterus, because it looked like it looks like a uterus. That was a terrible idea. I
think they changed it. I think they changed it because a year or two ago, it didn't look that flat and symmetrical. The horns went up into the stands more.
I've never noticed it because
they've had it for a few years. They put it in. God, they put it in when Charlie Strong was the head coach. It's been there for 4 or 5 years.
That has not, because they referenced it to being brand new.
Really?
So now the shape might have changed, but they referenced it to being renovated, being brand new. So that particular is because there was a news contributor that she tweeted it out because she's an Oklahoma grad.
Okay.
So I was like, why is she tweeting this out? Because I went to her Twitter page, and I don't even remember who she broadcasts for or reports for, but she's definitely a news analyst. She's not a sports analyst. And then I went and read her bio, or Googled. I go, oh, okay, so she's an OU fan, but there were people saying, stuff like, just like their fan base, and you fill in the blanks. But that's a strange one, man. That is a strange one. I don't even know what to do about that. You'd think someone would go, guys, did you ever watch How I Met Your Mother?
No.
Well, there's a classic episode where the guy it's the actor that played in Breaking Bad, Mr. White. He's guest starring, and the main star, his job is he's an architect. So this guy's guest starring as his boss, and his big idea is to build this building for whatever company. And his design, they never show the design because you can't, supposedly looked like a fully erect penis with like the bushes at the bottom, with just the whole 9 yards, the way they described it. And that's the first thing that popped in my mind when I saw this. I was like, oh man, I bet you Ted the architect is involved in this one somehow. But yeah, that's it's a strange one. We can move on, but I wanted to address it because I'm sure people are like, why do they got the Texas thing up there?
It was originally installed in 2019, and they renovated it this offseason and made it worse. I don't get it. I don't get it.
I mean, when considering the fact that their thing is always like this, right? Yeah. Why wouldn't it look exactly like that, right? Like why?
Yeah, I don't.
If you're gonna do that, why wouldn't you just make like so? There's. I get if they wanted to make it look like exactly like their logo. On no, dude, man, come on, man, please don't do that.
On to NFL predictions before we get to
that will get renovated. That will probably get renovated. Latest would be this offseason because you know there's millions in Texas going, boy, what the hell? Tell you what. All right, NFL predictions. So what I'm going to do today, because I want your full predictions, but I'm going to be doing this Joey tomorrow because it's kickoff. Okay. I'm going to give everyone my divisions and my wild cards, but that's as far as I'll go. And then, but I want your divisions, I want your wild cards, I want your conference championship, and then I want your Super Bowl. Because I'm going to save mine for tomorrow. So let's go ahead and start with. Well, we'll start with the AFC because I don't know why every time I picked up a book over the last 40 years of my life, the NFC was always first. I was like, alphabetically, wouldn't it be the American Football Conference that would come before the National Football Conference? I guess they were doing it because they were old school rubes of, the National Football League and the stupid AFL and we're better and all that.
Right.
But anyways,
AFL, NFL merger stuff. Got it.
That I'm gonna be honest with you. That generation isn't really around anymore. So let's go AFC first. Where are you going with the East?
With the East, I'm going with the New England Patriots in a bit of a swerve. I actually think the Bills are going to regress a little bit to the mean. And I'm really, really excited to see if Belichick is as smart as I think he is. And I believe he is. The defense, they spent a lot of money on that defense. And if Mac Jones is the game manager that they think he is, and look, I watched some tape of him from the preseason, just late night watching some of those shows that are on the NFL Network. He looks very intelligent. He looks ready to roll. We'll get to this later. I think he's going to be one of the most successful rookie quarterbacks ever. Maybe not on the stat sheet, but definitely in wins and losses. Because I just think that team's loaded up.
Yeah, I don't know how helpful he'll be with your fantasy team. That remains. Hell, Brady was never helpful for your fantasy team. But I'm a big Mac Jones fan. He's from our neighborhood. He's not just from our city, he's from our neighborhood. And so I will be in the market for a Mac Jones jersey in the very near future. I want to get an old red, what do they call them?
At the Patriot era. Yeah, love those. Love those.
I want a Mac Jones one. And I never would have worn a Patriots jersey before because when I was a kid, I grew up as a Dolphins fan. For those of y'all who think I was always about a Titans fan, I grew up a Dolphins fan until about the early 2000s, until when Dave Wanstead crapped on Marino and the Dolphins allowed it. I said, to hell with you, I'm pulling against you till Wanstead got out. And as that transition happened, I became a Titans fan. And that's how that became. And then I'll tell you what didn't help it was those stupid cartoony helmets that they have.
The old Dolphins logo.
As I'm saying that, Fitzpatrick, they just showed a clip of Fitzpatrick on the screen in the old Dolphins jersey. As I was saying that, I looked over and go, wow, that's what I
my ears.
If they ever go back to that, they will become my second team again. I hate their new ones are worse than the ones before that, where they look like a cartoon. Now they look like a tuna. It's terrible. Okay, so I'm going to say ditto on everything you just said. I'm taking the Pats.
I love it.
Let's go north.
North, I'm going to take the Cleveland Browns, who I still think are the best team in that division.
This is starting to get really, really bland because I'm going to say ditto.
All right, I'll go to the.
By the way, we did not share our picks with each other.
No, we really didn't.
We never do. Because that's what I want. Is I want the real response. Because I want. What are you, an idiot?
Here's the funny hot take for you. I actually think this is the worst division in football. I think this is the first time the Steelers missed the playoffs. I think the Ravens are seriously going to fall back to earth and regress to the mean because everybody's going to load the box against Lamar and he ain't got anybody to throw to. And
he's
Joe
got
Burrow may not.
Bell now, man. Everyone's picking him up.
And Joe Burrow's leg may not make it to Halloween if Jamar Chase keeps dropping passes. I think this is the worst division in football. I think Cleveland's clear in a way the best team in that division. They might win 12 games.
Are you as shocked as I am that Le'Veon Bell is getting scooped up in fantasy like this was 2016?
I saw somebody pick up Latavius Murray yesterday who just got released by the Saints. You don't even know he's going to end up somewhere.
They think he's heading to Baltimore. They think they're all heading to Baltimore.
He's got to pass a physical.
I was like, man,
in the league for 100 years.
I was like, man, that is going to be a really, really crowded apartment because this dude's ain't going to be able to afford anything else. It's like, exactly. Congratulations, you just picked up a guy, Le'Veon Bell, who's on the practice squad.
On the practice squad. For the AFC South, I am going to take the Tennessee Titans. I really wanted to swerve and take the Jags. I actually do think the Jags will be better than people believe, but the Titans are very, very good. They're very, very good. I am concerned about what the offense looks like with Arthur Smith gone, but if it's next man up, who cares?
The Jags will not be good. The Colts are the only team that could even compete with them in that division. And I do believe, and I know Joey's going to tell us other things tomorrow. He's going to fill us full of popsicles and fairy tales about how Carson Wentz is not going to get hurt for the first time ever, and that he won't get on the COVID list for the 14th time. But I'm telling you right now, the Tennessee Titans, if they stay healthy, now look, injury is always the thing. If they stay healthy, relatively healthy, I think they're going to cruise in that division. Because the Jaguars, I'm telling you right now, they're going to struggle to move the ball. You talking about an offensive line that is just trash? How bad is Houston, Sean? They're a 3.5-point underdog to Jacksonville at home this week.
They're pretty bad. Watch Houston come out of the gate 4-0, because I looked at their first month and they could actually be like 3-1 or 4-0, and I'll laugh my brains out. Not going to happen. But
do you have anyone other than Kansas City Chiefs in the West?
No, I got the Chiefs.
Let's move on. Your three wild cards real quick.
My three wild cards are the Buffalo Bills coming out of the East. And then in a bit of a swerve, even though I have the Chiefs as the best team in their division, I've got both the Raiders and the Chargers making the wild card. I think those are the 6th and 7th best teams in the AFC. I'm kind of a lot more bearish is the good one. I always mess this up. I'm a lot higher on the Raiders than most people are. I actually think that they might be better than advertised. That defense is very interesting.
Okay, my three wild cards are Baltimore, because I do believe they will run. I don't think Dobbins is as big of a deal as everyone else thinks. I also believe that getting Sammy Watkins helps a lot, because it should keep some defenses honest. And plus Baltimore's, they're a pain in the ass to deal with on a weekly basis. When you get the playoffs, it's a different story, but to have to deal with them and you don't normally play them, that's where they get their W's. I got the Buffalo Bills as well. Obvious reasons, high-powered offense. I'm still skeptical on that defense that everyone's high on. And then my third team, a little bit of a swerve, the Denver Broncos. And the reason why, not for fantasy reasons, but Mr. Teddy Bridgewater will win you football games. They will be ugly. They will be boring, but you'll come out of there going, damn, dude, did you realize we're 6-2 right now? They're going to be there.
He's steady and reliable. He is that.
And their defensive captain is back. And so that's why I think Denver will find a way. I still don't believe in Chucky ball. And, as much as high as I am on Herbert as a fantasy quarterback and whatnot, excuse me, I don't think that he's going to make good decisions. That's going to lead to a lot of wins this early in his career. NFC, who do you have in the East?
In the East, I have the Washington football team, and I really hope they keep this name. I know they're not going to, because Snyder's a putz. They're going to name them the Red Hogs or something else. But I actually have warmed up to the notion of just the Washington football team. And I know they're the bandwagon team of choice coming into the year, but I actually think they're as advertised. And it cannot be understated how good this team was with not just below average quarterback play, but very, very subpar quarterback play last year. So just having a competent quarterback, I think, makes them a 9 or 10 win team.
Ditto. Everything you just said. Ditto. Who do you have in the North?
As much as it pains me to say it, for what feels like the
Hold on
300th
one second. Hold
consecutive.
on one second. I got a fancy football question. Do I trade Gus Edwards and Claypool for CEH? What say you? A full PPR.
Nope. I am not a CEH believer. I will believe that they are going to use him in that offense when I am burned by it. They have yet to use him.
I'm going to say this, and I don't want to mispronounce your name, so I'll just call you Jay. Jay, full point PPR, depending on how deep your receiving core is, I'm going to say yes, because Gus Edwards will not get you much in a full point PPR, and I'm not convinced that Claypool is going to be the drug of choice for Ben Roethlisberger. I think he's going to get very little production. If you've got a decent receiving core and you can lose Claypool, and that's not going to hurt your receiving core, I'd like to know who your receiving core is. But if you can absorb losing Claypool, it's not losing Edwards. If you can absorb losing Claypool, man, I think you got to do it, because Gus Edwards is going to split. He's not going to get more than like 10 to 15 touches at the most a game. And then CEH is going to get at least that. You know, I'd say half of those are going to be PPR. I think you have to do, because, and also sell him while he's hot. Everyone thinks Gus Edwards is going to rush for 2,000 yards because J.K. Dobbins went out for the season. So that's my take. Would you not rather have CEH over Edwards in a full point PPR league?
Yeah, if that was the whole trade, yes.
Okay.
But I don't like giving up Claypool, because regardless of what,
are you big on Claypool? I guess
I'm just big on the fact that I think their defense is not going to be very good, and their offensive line's not going to be very good. It's going to be short, quick passing game. So in a full point PPR, Claypool could clean up for you.
Right.
Yeah, Claypool could clean up for you.
Okay, but that's what it was last year. And I'm telling you, because I had Claypool in so many leagues, it was so inconsistent when he got he scored 30% of his points in 2 games last year. And so, and you're going to add Najee Harris to the table, and he's got to eat at some point. So that's my concern. And I believe down near around the end zone, it's still going to be Juju. I think Deontay Johnson is their guy, and Claypool, for all intents and purposes, he's going to get 4 to 6 catches between the 20s all year long. And there's going to be weeks where he's going to break them. And you go, hell yeah. But there's going to be several weeks where you're going to say, oh my God, I should not have started him. So if he's got a solid receiving core, I think CEH is a no-brainer.
Yeah, there's some context to that question we don't know, because if Claypool was the second receiver you took, I'm not doing that. CEH hasn't burned anybody yet in a good way. He's burned people in a bad way. So,
well, the other thing is with Claypool and whatnot, he's realistically a wide receiver 3 at best right now.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have other guys on your bench, I say, dude, and here's the other thing. It is so much more difficult to find a top line running back than it is to find a top line receiver, because receivers merge throughout the year. We still don't know what Callaway is going to be. He could be great. He could be terrible, but there's guys like that on a lot of people's waiver wires. Okay. Where were we? Sorry. I got
Packers, NFC North.
Packers, without a doubt. It's not even close.
Nope.
Let's move on. Tampa Bay in the South. Do you see anything different?
No, I don't. I think they're the best team in that division. We'll get to my wild cards in a second. Number 2 is a surprise.
And now the West, which I think is one of the most wide open and talented divisions in all the NFL. Where are you going?
I'm going with the San Francisco 49ers.
All right. Well, you know what? If you're going to do that, keep copying me, then I've got to go ahead and pick the Rams, because that's who I had the 49ers, but okay, I'll go ahead and say that the Rams outlast them somehow, because we can't go complete chalk in every single division. That's absurd.
I'm not going chalk. My wild cards are a bit.
I'm saying me and you.
Yeah. No, we didn't share these.
We have mirrored each other, and I'm having to scratch stuff out because I'm not going to do this across the board. Okay, so who are your wild cards in the National Football Conference?
Number one is the Los Angeles Rams, who I think will barely finish second behind the Niners. I think they're clearly the two best teams in that division. Little swerve there. I think the Seahawks finished last in that division. I actually really don't like what they did this offseason at all, not one bit. I've got the Dallas Cowboys as my second wild card. They're gonna be fun to watch. I mean, they're gonna win so many 45 to 41 games this year. It's gonna be insane, even though their coach is a total buffoon. And for my last wild card, and this is way off the reservation, I've got the Atlanta Falcons, who actually I think finished second in the South. I'm not as down on them as everybody else is.
Dallas, Atlanta, and what was the first team?
Los Angeles Rams.
Okay.
The Rams.
That's what I thought you said. Okay, sorry. All right. So you're a believer in the Falcons.
I'm a believer in Arthur Smith and what he's going to do with that offense.
That I'll tell you what, that one shocks me because I do not think they're going to be a very good football team. But I do have something related to that. So as much as I may hate that Atlanta pick, I know you're going to hate this pick. I'm going to take the Minnesota Vikings. And the reason why is they're going to be a high octane offense. And I believe that defense has improved enough for them to get cheap wins. And remember something, there's 17 games now. There's 7 teams making the playoffs. There's going to be a team that's going to be under 500 that's going to make the playoffs this year. It's going to happen.
Yep.
And I think Minnesota can be that team. I'm not saying I'm not going out and going, they're going to shock the world. No, they're not. They're going to get in there like 7-10. Everyone's going to go, what the hell's Minnesota doing in there? My number, this one's easy. San Francisco. They are looking like one of the best teams in football. Just 2 years removed from a Super Bowl that they should have won, that had their head coach not choked again, they would have won. And the other one that's probably a little off everyone's radar, but I think they are going to play very well, very well. I think they're going to score. I think they're going to give up scores because of their quarterback, but they're going to score a lot because of their quarterback. Famous Jameis Winston heads to the playoffs in 2021, the New Orleans Saints. See, here we go. He has Ridley, AJ Brown, Waddle, Cooks, and Claypool and Harden and Jacoby Myers on his bench. So he has Ridley and AJ Brown starting. Dude, I think you can definitely give up Claypool.
So given that context, I would definitely make the trade because you said a name in there that I really do like, which is Jacoby Myers. So he's probably your wide receiver 3, not Claypool.
Well, also I think Jacoby can do good things, and also I'm high on Brandon Cooks because the team's going to suck and they're going to have to chuck it. He's the only receiver that you can say consistently stays on the field. I got another question for you. What do you think, guys, of this? It's a full point PPR. Jalen Hurts, Antonio Gibson, David Montgomery. I think he's just name his roster. Hurts, Gibson, Montgomery. Receivers are Allen, Robert Woods, Amari Cooper, Travis Kelce, the Ravens D, and Jason Myers. He doesn't say how many teams are in it, but if that is a league of 10 teams or more, that's a very good roster.
Yes, it's a very good roster going into the year.
If that's an 8-team team, it's good. If it's a 10+ league, that's very good because I think Hurts. I would definitely have a second plan with a quarterback.
Yep.
I'm not convinced that Hurts is going to be able to do big things on a regular basis, but Gibson you like, Montgomery you like, Keenan Allen and Robert Woods are 2 of the most just underrated fantasy players there. They perform. They're super underrated. They should call them both the mailmen because they always deliver. And I think Amari Cooper's upside is being overlooked. And of course, Kelce is, obviously elite. And of course, Ravens defense, it's a 10-team league. So I think that's a very good. And what I like about this from what I'm reading of it, I believe he waited on his quarterback, and I believe you should wait on your quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're an absolute dope. If you have Mahomes on your roster, you most likely will not win your fantasy league. Nothing to do with Mahomes. He's great. but you drafted him too high, I guarantee you, unless you played in a league of 10 people that know what they're doing. There's always
the variance is the variance is so high.
That one dope always goes out and goes and grabs in the first or second round. I'm like, hey, are you lost your mind? Kelsey, I get it. He's an elite tight end and he's better than the rest. But Mahomes, man, the points are just All right. So where are we at with your conference championships and your Super Bowl prediction? You'll get mine tomorrow because we are running out of time.
So for my conference championships, I've got the Packers versus the Bucks, a replay of last year, and I've got the Kansas City Chiefs versus the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl for the 25th anniversary of this matchup, which would be in 2022. I have the New England Patriots and the Green Bay Packers meeting in the Super Bowl in SoFi Stadium. It'll be 25 years since they played the Brett Favre, Desmond Howard, Super Bowl in New Orleans. And I've actually got the Green Bay Packers winning the Super Bowl. As much as it chagrins me as a Lions fan to say that, I think Rodgers rides out in a blaze of glory.
I will do my predictions tomorrow with Joey. By the way, for fantasy football people, every Sunday morning, 10 a.m. to noon kickoff, we are doing fantasy football and points against the spread. That's all the handicappers are. It'll be on this channel. It's time to turn back time, walk offs, and let's get the hell on out of here, Sean. Man, some things change and some things don't. I come back and I can't find my sound bites. Here we go. By the way, we have one more fantasy football question that we'll hit our walk-offs. On this date, 1940, the great Johnny Mize hits 38, 39 in his 40th home run of the year. By the way, in 1940, that was a lot. Becoming the first player to hit 3 home runs in one game 4 times in his career. Despite the Big Cats' heroics, they do lose the game. Now, also on this date, 1954, listen to this little tidbit. The great Richie Ashburn of the Philadelphia Phillies, he gets to a 3-2 count and then consecutively fouls off the next 14 pitches to finally get a walk. Oof, you talk about, man, at some point, you just hit him. Birthdays. The guy who's no longer with us, the great L.C. Greenwood. Happy birthday to the gentleman who passed away in 2013, 4-time Super Bowl champion, 6-time Pro Bowler, 2-time first team All-Pro. And let's go ahead and hit someone who's still with us on a birthday, and we're not going to go down the mainstream. Sorry. Let's go with there he is. Tim Gullickson, American tennis player, who's also Pete Sampras's coach. Sean, before we hit our walk-offs, 12-team full PPR league, Russell Wilson, Saquon, David Montgomery, Stephon Diggs, Julio Jones, Chris Carson, Jonnu Smith, and the Ravens D. Did you let anyone else draft?
How many people were on auto draft? I think you probably got Julio low. I've seen Julio going low for whatever reason.
Well, I'm starting to think that this is a keeper league because
could be.
Russell Wilson should have a great year. Saquon Barkley, it'll take him a while to get going. He should be solid. David Montgomery, I like a lot. Stephon Diggs, you could argue he could be the best receiver. Julio Jones, he's going to have his moments, but I think he's going to be very consistent. And then Chris Carson is your flex. Chris Carson is your flex, and that son of a gun went in the first round in that 10-team draft we just did.
He sure did.
That was a reach. That was a reach. I think that team's phenomenal for a 12-team full PPR league. You can probably go ahead and start planning your victory parade, to be honest with you.
Barkley and Montgomery alone in a full point PPR are great picks because they're going to be playing from behind more often than you would think. And yeah, that's Montgomery catches a lot of passes. I don't think he's thought of in that vein, but he does.
What is your walk-off for the day, sir?
My walk-off is for me. I'm going to pat myself on the back. Go back and play the tape from 4 weeks ago. I said the AL wildcard game would be the Yankees and the Toronto Blue Jays. And boy, oh boy, here come the Blue Jays. 2 games behind the Yankees. Won 9 out of their last 10, beating the snot out of the Yankees. I'm listening to WFA. I'm listening to WFAN in the morning. They're taking callers from Amherst who are like, man, this team sucks. Get Boone out of here. Get Cashman out of the box. I hate these guys. Here we go. Here come the Blue Jays.
Well, I still think I'm still going to stick with my Yankees Red Sox prediction. I think they'll find a way to, because that's what I want, and that's what baseball needs. But my walk-off for the day is, man, we didn't have enough time to get through, and then I won't be taking this kind of time. I won't have a day off again until after the Super Bowl. So I look forward to this season. Saturdays, obviously, we're here Monday through Friday, 8:30 in the morning Eastern time. We're here about an hour. And then on Saturdays, we're doing the college football kickoff show, 8:30 in the morning Eastern as well. We take that all the way till 10 Eastern. And then on Sundays, it's 10 to noon, and it's fantasy football with some point spreads, and that's it. We're not going to go in there. You're not going to tune into us and have to hear about how some player that you never heard of walked uphill through the snow for 17 consecutive months, and some teary-eyed stuff that they put on ESPN. And you're not going to also listen to us have a deep breakdown about how whether or not the offensive line will do this in the Browns Jets game. Okay. We're doing point spreads. We're doing fantasy football because that's what really matters in this. And we didn't have time to
we will mention several times that we were 15 games over 500 last year on our picks against the spread. So we were hot last year. We're going to carry it.
62% against the spread over the last 6 years. I hope I didn't just jinx us, but that is just unheard of.
Yep. That's good stuff.
No, he says it's not a keeper league. He got Julio in a redraft. He also has AB, Devontae Smith, and Sony Michel on his bench. Devontae Smith.
I wouldn't start any of those guys, but yeah, Smith could be a steal.
We won't do our picks till Sunday, but keep an eye on the over-under line in that the Atlanta Philly game. Dude, that is going to be a light show. Devontae Smith might hit the scene fast. If Jalen Hurts can find him, Devontae Smith on turf. That game's on turf. Devontae, the last time he played in that building, he scored a lot of points.
Yes, he did.
And as Tom says, all that ever matters is the point spread. Have a great day, y'all. Sean's got to run. I got to run. But we will be back at it tomorrow morning. Then, of course, the Saturday, Sunday shows. We don't take a day off until the new year. And see ya. We had a great time in Nashville, by the way.
Goodbye, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go. We're back tomorrow with another show. Well, unless we're fired, we'll talk to you then. Goodbye, sweetheart. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Guys and gals, it's time to go. We'll see you on the next show.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Thanks for listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks on these CBS Sports affiliates and catching the show on YouTube Live. We're here weekdays. Find Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube Live today. Please subscribe and share and take us everywhere you go. The Armchair Quarterbacks, your first choice for Southern sports talk, live from the First Coast.
Gonna get another cigarette.